Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jiajie Zhang, a cognitive scientist and the Dean of the McWilliams School of Biomedical Informatics at UT Health Houston. For more than 30 years, I have studied one question: how does technology change the way humans think? Today, I'd like to start with a simple but unsettling observation. The world you are operating in no longer exists. Most people haven't realized it yet because they still think AI is about better tools. It isn't. AI is changing the nature of intelligence itself. And when intelligence changes, everything built on it, education, work, science, leadership, and our institutions, must change as well. That is the cognitive revolution. When James Watt improved the steam engine, he did not simply make machines more efficient. He changed the economics of physical labor. Entire industries, cities, and social structures reorganized around that new reality. AI is doing the same thing to cognitive labor. It changes the cost, speed, scale, and location of thinking. That is why this moment is not incremental. It is structural. We are not watching another technology wave. We are standing at the beginning of a new cognitive order. Before engines, moving people, goods, and power required muscle. After engines, physical effort became cheap, scalable, and distributed. It collapsed the time and cost of travel from Houston to New York by 99 and 97%. That did not eliminate the body. It changed what the body was for. AI is doing the same for the mind. It collapsed the time and cost of finding AI courses in U.S. medical schools by 98%. It will not eliminate human thinking. It will change what human thinking is for. Routine cognition will become cheap. Judgment will become precious. Memory will matter less. Meaning will matter more. The future belongs not to those who think alone, but to those who know how to think with intelligence everywhere. Every great revolution removes a constraint. Agriculture reduced the constraint of biology. Food became more reliable. Industry reduced the constraint of muscle. Physical work became scalable. AI reduces the constraint of cognition. Reasoning, language, analysis, and creation become available at unprecedented scale. This is why AI is not just another digital tool. It reaches into the deepest operating system of society, how we know, decide, learn, create, and organize. When the constraint changes, the civilization changes. For centuries, we designed institutions around a quiet assumption. Intelligence lives inside people. We trained individuals, certified individuals, hired individuals, evaluated individuals. But intelligence has now left the building. It lives in networks, models, platforms, prompts, data, workflows, and human AI loops. That does not make humans obsolete. It makes the old boundaries obsolete. The question is no longer, how smart is this person? The question becomes, how intelligent is the system this person can assemble, guide, and trust? Now we arrive at a central idea. AI is relocating cognition. The biggest change is not that computers can answer questions faster. The bigger change is that thinking itself is moving. It is moving from isolated minds into loops between people, machines, data, and institutions. This is the new cognitive architecture. To understand the future, we have to stop asking, what can AI do? and start asking, where does thinking now happen? We like to imagine thinking as something private, sealed inside the skull, but that has always been an illusion. We think with paper, diagrams, maps, calculators, books, whiteboards, language, teams, and institutions. Human intelligence has always been extended. The mind has always reached beyond the brain. AI makes that extension active. It does not merely store our thoughts. It responds, proposes, challenges, summarizes, drafts, reasons, and remembers. It turns the environment itself into part of the thinking process. Human progress has always followed a pattern. When we change how knowledge is represented, we change what thinking can become. Speech allowed memory to become social. Writing allowed thought to travel across time and supports reflective thinking. Mathematics externalized and formalized reasoning. The internet made knowledge searchable. AI makes knowledge interactive. That is the turning point. The artifact no longer waits passively on the page. It participates. A civilization built on static representations is becoming a civilization built on responsive intelligence. A book can preserve thought. A calculator can process symbols. A database can store information. But AI does something categorically different. It talks back. It does not just contain knowledge. It engages with us. It can question, critique, synthesize, simulate, and generate alternatives. That is the moment the artifact becomes a participant. And once our tools begin to participate in thought, the boundary between using a tool and joining a cognitive system begins to dissolve. The unit of intelligence is no longer the unaided individual. It is the loop: human judgment, machine generation, human framing, machine simulation, human values, machine scale. We should stop asking whether AI is better than humans. That is the wrong question. The future is not human versus machine. The future is the quality of the loop. Who frames the problem? Who checks the answer? Who owns the judgment? Who learns from the result? The loop is where cognition now lives. Most organizations are still treating AI as acceleration. Faster writing, faster coding, faster analysis, faster customer service. But speed is only the surface. The deeper shift is relocation. The cognitive steps that once happened silently inside a person are becoming external, visible, shared, and redesignable. That changes training. It changes accountability. It changes leadership. When thinking moves into the system itself must be designed for judgment, not just efficiency. We are moving from support to participation. Traditional tools supported human intention. AI systems increasingly participate in forming the intention itself. They suggest the next question. They draft the first hypothesis. They expose the blind spot. They propose the alternative. This is not an incremental improvement in productivity. It is a categorical shift in agency. The danger is not that AI will think for us. The danger is that we will fail to design the partnership well enough to think better with it. What happens when knowledge is no longer scarce? This is the question every school, every profession, every parent, every student, and every leader must now face. For centuries, education and expertise were built around access to knowledge. Acquire it, memorize it, prove it, protect it. But AI makes knowledge abundant and instantly accessible. That does not end education. It ends one version of education. The new purpose is not knowledge transfer. It is cognitive formation. Knowledge is moving from something we possess to something we can access, interrogate, combine, and generate. That shift is profound. When knowledge is scarce, the expert is the person who has it. When knowledge is abundant, the expert is the person who can judge it. Students no longer need only to accumulate answers. They need to learn how to ask better questions, test claims, detect nonsense, integrate perspectives, and act responsibly in the presence of abundant intelligence. The old education model was built like a pipeline. Knowledge moves from teacher to student, from textbook to memory, from lecture to exam. But the AI era requires cognitive orchestration. Students must learn how to work with external intelligence, not hide from it. Assessment must move from can you recall to can you frame, judge, create, and defend. The goal is not to produce human databases. The goal is to produce human beings capable of wisdom in a world of infinite information. AI will not change all cognitive work equally. It will compress some tasks and elevate others. Memorization, routine writing, basic coding, and first-pass analysis become easier. But problem framing, interpretation, ethics, judgment, taste, leadership, and responsibility become more important. This is the task transformation. The work does not simply disappear. It relocates upward. The question for every profession is, which parts of our work are becoming automated, and which parts are becoming more human than ever? The educator of the future is not merely a content provider. AI can provide content. The educator becomes an architect of cognitive environments, someone who designs experiences where students learn to reason, question, collaborate, create, and judge. The teacher becomes less like a broadcaster and more like a guide, coach, studio director, and evaluator of judgment. In the AI era, great education will not be defined by how much information is delivered, but by how deeply intelligence is cultivated. Expertise is not disappearing. It is being reconstructed. The old expert was valued for possessing knowledge. The new expert is valued for orchestrating knowledge. The old expert could recall and synthesize. The new expert can frame problems, evaluate machine outputs, integrate evidence, recognize context, and make responsible decisions under uncertainty. In a world where everyone has access to answers, expertise becomes the capacity to know which answers matter, which are dangerous, and what should be done next. We are leaving the age of the heroic thinker, the solitary genius in the room, producing insight alone. That myth was always incomplete, but AI finally makes it untenable. The future of intelligence is networked. Great thinking will come from systems that combine human imagination, machine scale, institutional memory, domain expertise, and collective judgment. The leader is not the person with all the answers. The leader is the person who can build the environment where better answers emerge. Nowhere is this more important than science. For centuries, discovery looked like a pipeline: observe, hypothesize, design, execute, interpret. AI turns that pipeline into a living system. Ideas can be generated at scale, experiments can be designed faster, literature can be synthesized continuously. Patterns can be seen across data too large for any individual mind. Discovery is no longer only a sequence of steps. It becomes an architecture of continuous intelligence. The old bottleneck in science was scarcity. Not enough data, not enough time, not enough hypotheses, not enough people to explore the search space. Scientific progress depended on the slow labor of individuals and small teams. That produced extraordinary breakthroughs, but it also meant that many possible ideas were never explored. AI changes this equation. It expands the front end of discovery. It can generate, compare, and refine possibilities at a scale our institutions were never designed to handle. But abundance creates a new problem. When AI can generate thousands of hypotheses, the bottleneck moves. The scarce resource is no longer only idea generation. It becomes evaluation. Which ideas are worth testing? Which are plausible? Which are ethical? Which are clinically meaningful? Which deserve scarce experimental resources? The bottleneck has inverted. In the cognitive revolution, judgment becomes the rate-limiting step. Science will advance not only by generating more ideas, but by building better systems for deciding which ideas deserve reality. AI can widen the gap between what we can imagine and what we can execute. That is both thrilling and dangerous. We may soon be able to generate more hypotheses, designs, papers, tools, and strategies than our institutions can test, validate, fund, or govern. The future will not be won by idea abundance alone. It will be won by execution architecture. The ability to move from possibility to evidence, from prototype to practice, from imagination to accountable impact. Science has always been distributed across instruments, laboratories, publications, peer review, and communities. AI intensifies that distribution. The research system now includes human scientists, AI agents, data platforms, simulation tools, automated workflows, and collaborative networks. The question is no longer whether a single scientist can think deeply enough. The question is whether the scientific system can think collectively enough, rigorously enough, and ethically enough to convert intelligence into truth. The final question is institutional. If intelligence is becoming distributed, interactive, and abundant, then our institutions cannot remain industrial machines with a digital layer. They must become cognitive systems. A school, hospital, company, or government agency should not merely contain smart people. It should have structures that help people and machines think together. The future institution will not be defined by how much AI it buys, but by how intelligently it redesigns itself. The greatest danger is symbolic adoption. Innovation theaters, pilot projects, AI committees, and glossy demonstrations that leave the real institution unchanged. That is how organizations protect the past while pretending to enter the future. But AI does not reward symbolism, it rewards redesign. If the foundation remains linear, slow, siloed, and risk-averse, AI will become decoration. The organizations that lead will be those willing to rebuild workflows, incentives, decision rights, and culture around new cognitive realities. An AI-native institution is not an old institution with AI tools attached. It is an institution designed from the ground up around distributed cognition. It knows where machines should generate, where humans should judge, where data should flow, where governance should intervene, and where learning should happen. It has memory. It has feedback loops. It has intelligence embedded in the work. The goal is not to automate the institution we already have. The goal is to design the institution we now need. Most institutions still run in industrial time. Annual plans, quarterly meetings, linear approvals, slow reporting cycles. But AI operates in cognitive time, continuous adaptive, iterative, always learning. This mismatch may become the greatest barrier to transformation. The problem is not technological capability. It is institutional velocity. If our systems take months to decide what AI can test in minutes, then the bottleneck is no longer the machine. The bottleneck is us. This is why AI leadership cannot be delegated to IT. Technology teams are essential, but this is not primarily a technical challenge. It is an executive challenge, a design challenge, a cultural challenge, and a moral challenge. Leaders must decide what kind of intelligence their organizations will become. They must define where autonomy is allowed, where judgment is required, where risk is acceptable, and where human values must never be outsourced. AI strategy is not software strategy. It is institutional strategy. The phrase is provocative, but the point is precise. Not the biological brain, but many functions we once treated as private cognitive labor are now shared infrastructure. Memory, drafting, translation, tutoring, summarization, coding, design, analysis, and reasoning are increasingly accessible outside the individual mind. This creates enormous opportunity and enormous responsibility. When cognition becomes open architecture, the advantage belongs to those who can compose it wisely, govern it carefully, and use it to deepen rather than diminish humanity. We are not passive observers of this revolution. We are the architects. The cognitive revolution will not be defined by AI alone. It will be defined by how we redesign human intelligence around it, how we teach, lead, discover, govern, care, and create. The future will not belong simply to the people with the most powerful models. It will belong to systems that can think, learn, judge, and act with purpose. And it will belong to the humans wise enough to design them. Let me end with one provocative claim, a claim that I hope now feels like a natural conclusion from everything you've heard today. Artificial General Intelligence, or AGI, is a category error. It is not the future of intelligence. It is the last gasp of an outdated theory of intelligence. The AGI race is chasing the wrong object, the fantasy that intelligence lives inside an isolated mind, and that the ultimate achievement is to rebuild that mind inside a machine. But that has never been how human intelligence works. Human intelligence has always been distributed, extended through language, writing, mathematics, books, calculators, the internet, and now AI. Every major cognitive artifact has expanded the human mind beyond the brain. AI is simply the first artifact that can actively participate in thinking. The future is not an isolated superintelligence. The future is distributed intelligence. Humans, AI, knowledge, and institutions thinking together. The cognitive revolution is not about building a new mind. It is about reorganizing intelligence itself. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If today's ideas resonated with you, I invite you to continue the conversation. You can scan the QR code to learn more about the cognitive revolution. You can also visit Cognition.ai, a platform dedicated to exploring the cognitive revolution through essays, podcasts, videos, and ongoing conversations about how AI is reshaping intelligence, expertise, and institutions. I'll leave you with one final thought. The future will not belong to those who simply use AI. It will belong to those who redesign the world around intelligence. Thank you.